Hey everybody, Zian over here from Nintendo Life. Now, one question that I get asked all the time is, how do I have so many video games? Or why do I have so many video games? I guess a lot of those questions usually fall into the same category, and I've never really gotten like the chance to kind of talk about my collecting habits too much, or why I have all these games or how I get them in the first place. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to kind of sit back and just chill a little bit and kind of talk about how I've accumulated all of these games. I've put so much time and effort and love into like collecting these games and playing a lot of them too, of course. But I just kind of wanted to try and spill some of the secrets. I guess if there are even secrets. And sorry if this like video is super weird. I'm trying to like do this like handy cam thing and like look at the monitor to make sure I'm in focus and stuff. But so here is my collection, I guess, so to speak. I try to keep everything like organized by system, and then of course it's always alphabetical. So I have like my complete in box games for like most systems are over here, or like the cartridge based ones. So like I have some NES up there and some Super Nintendo and N64, and then from there I keep all my GameCube in one spot, and the Wii and the Switch, and the Wii U is, Wii U's up here. It's like these shelves that I use are, I think they're Atlantic Oscar Schmidt 1080s or something like that, and they have like, they're completely adjustable. They have like tons of little notches, and they're like just as deep as like DVDs go, so like that's really dope. But sometimes I can't always fit things as perfectly as I'd like my Switch stuff here, like there's a big gap, and I wish I could use that real estate for something else. Like eventually, I'll stack games on their side when I run out of room, but I don't know. They're so that's why I have Wii U over there. It's because I need to keep the Switch in a straight line and the Wii in a straight line. That's why the Wii U isn't up here and breaking up the mold. No thanks. And then so then I keep my PS4 over here, my N64 just cartridge games, and my Game Boy and my Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance loose games. And then I have like just cartridges down below that. So I have like my Super Nintendo. And let me actually just move this light over here. There we go, that's a lot better. And then so I've got my NES and my Super Nintendo are like kind of just like lining going like across the bottom here. And I really don't have that much for Super Nintendo. I wish I had more, but it also helps that it also doesn't help that a lot of my Super Nintendo games are complete in box. So it makes it look like I have less cartridges than I do. And then I've got some like complete in box Game Boy and Game Boy Color and then Game Boy Advance. And I guess then I have 3DS and DS down below that. And then PS3 is like over there, just like sadly, because I don't have anywhere else to put it at the moment. So it's just this huge like pile that's like ready to topple at any moment. So like at one point I told myself that I was only going to collect complete in box games for series that are like games that I really cared about. So like the Banjo series, like I really like Banjo a lot. I've still never played Tooie, but I wanted to have them. And like I also wanted to collect like all the Rareware games complete in box. So that's why I have Mickey's Speedway USA and I guess GoldenEye like isn't even like a huge title for me. Like I didn't grow up with it, and like I don't know, I just didn't really play it on N64 much. So but that was another one that I just like wanted to own because it was a Rareware title. But at some point in my collecting, like I completely threw that idea out. Maybe it was like starting the job at Nintendo Life was like, well now I have more of a reason to collect this stuff because I can take photos of it or show it off in videos or to even like have it for reference. And so with Game Boy Advance, I started collecting more games that I started to like loosen up my morals of like what do I care about and what I don't. Like Lilo and Stitch it's super tough, but it's basically like a Metal Slug style game. And I can't remember if I've talked about it before on the channel or not, but I grew up with this game and it's really fun. It's just really, really, really hard. And but I found that for like $5 somewhere, and it was just like, sure, why not? And so I have. So my complete in box collection has grown quite a bit. And then I also, if we go over here, this is where I have my, of course, my band CD. I've got some extra copies. God, I'm so stupid. And then I have my PS2 and PSP, and these are all my PS1 games, and my Xbox games are on the bottom shelf. And I've got some Genesis back here too hiding. And my Dreamcast is behind, oh gosh, is behind this PS1 stack here. And I really don't have that much for Dreamcast. But some of those games are getting so expensive that it's really hard to collect for. And I guess that's, that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, is because, like, if I can do this, other people can collect like this if they want. They don't have to. So one thing that I would recommend that you do if you're trying to collect like a ton of games, or you're trying to get a bunch of stuff from when you were a kid, is try to make a list of everything that you want. And so, oh Navi, you're probably gonna mess up my microphone here. I'm gonna have to put you down. So I would try to make a list of the games that you want. Go on, so I use a website called vgcollect.com, where they have like a really extensive database of games from pretty much like every system over the course of forever. And so you can go in there and you can add all the games that you have into your collection, and you can mark if they're complete in box or if they're just loose cartridges. And we'll get to that more in a little bit here. And but then you can also make a wish list of games that you want. You can also make a sell list too, so you can have, like, if you decide to pull like 5 games out of your collection, you can have those in a sell list, and you can share that with other people and say, hey, I'm gonna trade this game, or I want to trade these games. Let me see your trade list or your sell list. And so yeah, so I think one thing is make a list. It's a lot of fun to kind of go and like take a look through like all the games that ever came out on the Wii or the DS, and like those lists, that will take you a while to get through those lists, because there's a lot of games on those systems. It's like over 1,000 for each of them. And but it's fun to kind of do that. So that would be the first thing I'd recommend to do, is to make a list. And then after that, I suppose you can start actually trying to find the games that you want. You can go to game stores, you can look on eBay, you can look online, and just kind of get an eye for what the prices are going to be for some of these games, and also then try to figure out what your budget can be for getting these games. Like, let's say Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion right now are both like, they're like around $100, and that's like, unless if you really have like the money to throw at that, it's probably an unrealistic time frame to buy that game physically. I think if you want that game and you want to play it right now, just buy it on the Wii U eShop, or find some way to play that game without having to spend loads and loads of dollars on it, and then maybe get the physical copy like a few years down the road, because I imagine it'll come down in price, especially if Nintendo does decide to re-release those games in some shape or form on the Nintendo Switch as well. So don't feel like you have this, like, I mean, I often do this where I have fear of missing out about buying a certain game or thing. So like recently, I've been collecting a lot more stuff on 3DS, for example, because I feel like a lot of those games are getting harder and harder to find. People are buying them and they're holding on to them and they're not getting rid of them. And so I've been kind of taking a look at those systems, or like 3DS in particular, I suppose, because a lot of those games for a while were fairly cheap. Like I just picked up, what was it? Spirit Camera. I just picked that up and I think I paid like $15 or $20 for it. But for a really long time, this was like a $5, $10 game. You would have to like pay people to take that game, because nobody had interest in it. And now it's starting to like creep up, and I feel like that's gonna eventually be one of those games that it'll be expensive someday. So like sometimes I have that fear of missing out, where I'm like, I gotta get this now before I can never get it again. But try to not let that take control of you and your wallet and your life, because like, so one thing for me is like, I love collecting video games. I love going on road trips to go to new stores and like conventions where like, people buy and sell and trade games. And but one thing like you really have to be careful about is just to not let it consume you and make it become all you do. Because for a while, like I had like so many different eBay saved searches up where I was just like, every chance I had like free time, I would just be looking at eBay for different things that I was like on the hunt for, or just to see if I could catch a deal on this or that. I was sending in offers and things like that. And now the last few months I've been a lot better about it. But yeah, I was kind of doing that for a while. And I mean, if you're having fun collecting and you're not getting in the way of anything, or you're not letting it like affect your work or like friendships or anything like that, cool, like keep doing you. But just be careful that you don't let your collecting get out of hand. And because I think at times I've definitely let myself do that. And if I could like pass on like one word of advice to someone who's collecting like retro video games, it would probably be that. Just like, be careful that you're not spending too much time trying to collect the games. And also, make sure you're actually playing the games or putting in an effort to play the games that you're collecting, you know? So like for me, for example, I have this this little stack here. I've talked about this before, but this is my backlog stack. So these are all games that I like actively want to play. And the stack doesn't change very often because oftentimes I'll end up like picking up like a new game that like gets in the way of that, or you know, something else will pop up on my list that I want to play. Like right now I'm playing Mother 3 and that game is going to take me, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 hours. It's going to take a while. So it could take me a whole month. So the next chance I get to take a game off this stack will be after that, unless if something else brand new comes out that gets in the way in turn, like No More Heroes 3, you know, is coming out very soon and I really want to play that. But yeah, so just try to make sure that you're like putting in an effort to like actually play the games. Cause like if you're collecting all these games, like I have so many games that realistically, I'm probably never gonna play all of the games that I have. I would like to. I have goals of like growing like old someday and like having just a library of games and like a couple TVs where I can go and sit. And I kind of already have that now, but right now I just don't have the time to dedicate to playing them. But I look forward to someday retiring and getting to play all these games, you know, but just try to keep your like expectations in check and just make sure you're still playing games, because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. But another thing too that I do when it comes to collecting like complete in box stuff is because that can get super crazy expensive. Like what was it that I was looking at recently? So Metroid Zero Mission, I think it's around like $100 game complete in box, or loose right now, just the cartridge. And I think complete in box, I think it goes for like $200 or $300. But one thing I really like to try and do is try to piece them together. And so I have this right here. This is a box that I have. I bought a pair of Onitsukas back in like 2008, and I kept the box. And so in here, I have boxes and manuals, or like just random things that I hope to complete someday. So like this right here is a box and manual. It's got like, I just have it in like a nice case to keep it safe, but it's in like super minty condition. And I think I paid maybe like 30 bucks for this at a game shop a couple of years ago. And I don't have the game for it, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to find the cartridge somewhere and then I can piece it together and I'll have a complete in box game. Same with like this. This is just a case for Pokemon Crystal. It's legit, it's OEM, like it has all the signifiers of like being real. I just don't have the board. So my hopes with this is that I'll be able to buy a cartridge that has like just like the label missing, or like it's just in a really bad shape, and then I'll be able to swap it out for this. Same with, you know, like this is Project Cross Zone just 1. I have like all of the items are in here, but the game and the plastic case and the manual, but I have everything else is in here. And so, you know, like just trying to like buy little things like that and like be smart about what you're like collecting, I think can really matter a lot too. So this bag here was just all like loose discs and manuals. So like these, I ended up getting this really cheap. This is just the disc for 2, but I'm hoping to find the box and manual at some point. This I was actually gifted by a few friends of mine. They sent this to me, and it's just a loose disc for Monkey Ball Adventure. This is a Japanese manual for Jack Bros that I ended up getting when I used to work at the game store, and I'll probably never complete this, but it's just a really cool piece to have. This is a Metroid Samus 2 Returns Game Boy manual with no cover, but I also got it for really cheap, and it was just fun. And yeah, so like some of these, so what I was saying with the Zero Mission thing was I bought this manual for I think around $15 or $20 somewhere, and I've had Zero Mission for a long time, and now I'm just gonna hope that I can try to find a box to pair this up with and hopefully not spend too much on it. And then realistically, my cost of a complete in box game will be much cheaper than if I just were to like go out and go on eBay or whatever and buy a complete in box copy. And yes, I mean, like there is a lot of waiting in there, and you're spending a lot of time like and effort like doing this stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like if you're having fun with it, you know, that's like most importantly like what matters. And of course like being patient too. You know, like I was saying, like make a list of the games that you someday want. So I have lists of systems that I want games for, pretty much like across every Nintendo platform and PlayStation and a couple Xbox and you know, and Dreamcast for sure, and some other Sega systems. And so whenever I go to game stores, I'm always looking to like sometimes I have something that I like know I want. Like I want to play this next week, or I want to, you know, I want to get this game before like it becomes super rare and hard to find or whatever, you know. And so, but since I have this list, I have all of these games that I know I want. Whenever I go to a game store, I usually am just trying to like find a deal on the games that I want, or just find them in good shape and then have them at like market value. Because then at the end of the day, it allows me to have more of the games that I want. And then I'm not, you know, like having a list allows me to like, then if I'm going into a store, let's say, and I'm looking for a Glover sealed on the N64, you know, if I go into a game store looking solely for that, I'm probably never going to find it, or B, the day that I do, it's going to be crazy expensive. But if you have, just knowing my luck, but if you happen to have a list of like a bunch of things that you want to find, like a sealed copy of Glover 64 and a copy of Monster Hunter Stories on 3DS and Chrono Trigger on DS and just a bunch of other games, you know, like maybe you'll find a deal on one of those things, and then you'll be able to like, you know, you'll save yourself some money and you'll be able to put some extra maybe into something else that you were interested in collecting, you know. I think one of the big reasons why I collect games, like I said, is like, you know, someday to have, like, I dream of having like a room to be able to like go sit around and like play all the games that I want whenever I want. But I also just like love the community of like being able to talk with people about the games that I grew up with or that I really love, or like, you know, sharing the news of this new game that I just found that I really want other people to play, you know, like just talking with people about video games is kind of why I like to do this so much. And it's really like, it really sucks that the world hasn't really allowed us to like go to conventions and like do the trading and things that we would like normally do. But I'm looking forward to like the point where we can do that again. Because like the community is just what I love about this, you know, it's just being able to share this with people. But yeah, enough of me rambling. I hope I've said something useful to you that has helped you learn something about collecting video games, or maybe you'll even be able to share a story about collecting video games yourself in the comments down below, and maybe you'll make a new friend. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and collect that subscribe button if you haven't already, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.